last night is obviously that Giannis is likely going to be the hottest, most eligible potential superstar on the market this offseason. He has 2 more years on his contract with the Bucks, but it doesn't feel like their future is bright at all. It feels like the only way out is to trade Giannis, and if Giannis wants to win another title, it's got to be outside of a Bucks uniform. That might very mean that the last time we see Giannis in a Bucks jersey, not only did he give us 30 and 20 with like 13 assists, he also almost got into a little fisticuffs with the best player on the Pacers, Pops, Tyrese Haliburton's dad. Now, here's Giannis talking about what happened. The Bucks obviously gave up a historical lead. They were up by 7 with 40 seconds to go. The Pacers come back and win somehow 8 points in 40 seconds. They clinched the series 4-1. Afterwards, it got contentious because Haliburton's Pops comes out of the stands onto the court and starts taunting Giannis. I don't know what he specifically said, but he said something that crossed the line. Here is Giannis postgame addressing. This was like a 3.5-minute soliloquy, by the way. If you haven't heard it, you should listen to the full thing. Here's just a snippet of him addressing what Hallie's Pop said to him.
I'm happy for him, and I'm happy for his son, and I'm happy that he's happy for his son. That's how you're supposed to feel. But coming to me and disrespecting me and cursing at me, I think is totally unacceptable. Totally unacceptable.
You sound like the Pops.
Okay? And I'm not the guy that points fingers, because in my neighborhood, snitches get stitches.
Mine too.
So I don't want to say something, for him to say, to get fined or anything. But it's not respectful. I talked with him at the end, and I think we're in a good place.
Man. He dropped the snitches get stitches.
Can the NBA fine Tyrese Haliburton's dad?
Well, the NFL just fined Jeff Ulbrich for his son prank calling Shedeur Sanders and the Falcons like $250,000. So I think they potentially could. Maybe they fine the Pacers because it's likely that Haliburton's Pops had those tickets on behalf of the team and Haliburton. So, yeah, in a roundabout way, I'm sure they can do it.
Yeah, it was an awful look. If you see the wide shots, like from the crowd of fans that were recording the full courts and see the V line, that Haliburton's dad just stopped and stared him down. And obviously, we don't know what he said, but I almost think it doesn't matter what he said. What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Your son just won an NBA playoff series. He's the best player on the team, and you're not necessarily expressing happiness for him. You're trying to taunt a top 5 player in the NBA who is not known for being spiky, annoying, he's not a Draymond Green. No, he's kind of known as a good guy in the NBA. What was that?
That was one of the more embarrassing things. Again, parents they have the ability to embarrass their kids probably more so than the other way around, because it's understandable when a child does something weird. So parents will talk about how there's embarrassing. Sure. A parent, though, doing something publicly like that, I think it far out exceeds anything that a child could do to do the reverse. That's ultimately embarrassing on behalf of Tyrese Haliburton. It's uncalled for, and I would have to also assume it was maybe induced by a little bit of vivacious,
liquid courage.
A little liquid courage as you're in the midst of a heated NBA series.
I really hope so.
It better have been.
Seriously, if you're well above your wits and you made that decision, that says a lot about you. And I'm surprised that Tyrese Haliburton wants that guy on the court if that's how he's going to act.
Well, let's take a listen. Before we give more reaction, let's take a listen to what Haliburton says, because in a spot like this, in a rivalry like what the Bucks and Pacers happen to be, I do believe that Haliburton was probably in a situation where he had to think to himself, am I going to lie? Am I going to act as if I believe my dad was in the right here? Am I going to side with my Pops over the team that we kind of hate and I've gotten into this war of words with and we just got done finishing off? Or am I going to do the right thing? He was faced with that decision when he got to the press conference podium. And I do believe he gave the right answer. Here's Haliburton in response to what happened between Giannis and his Pops.
As far as the incident between Giannis and my Pops, I had no idea it happened until I got to the back and was showed the video. Me and my Pops have talked about that, and I don't agree with what transpired there from him. I think basketball is basketball, and let's keep it on the court. And I think that he just got excited, saw his son make a game winner, and came on the court. But I think we had a conversation, and I think he just needs to just allow me to just play basketball, stay over there. I'll come to him to celebrate. But
that kind of says it all. He's embarrassed. Like, imagine that, because this is one of the heights of Haliburton's career. He's not a guy that has a championship yet. This is one of the greatest achievements he's actually had. Last year they beat the Bucks 4-2, but Giannis wasn't there. This time Giannis was there, and he was a demon. And the Pacers had their backs against the wall. They were down by 7 with 40 seconds to go. He thought they were going to have to get back on the plane and travel to Milwaukee to try and clinch the series on the road, whereas instead they had an immaculate, unprecedented comeback. They got the win, and instead of being able to fully enjoy and embrace that win, he's got to address his dad acting like a knucklehead. He's pissed. Like, that's embarrassing.
That is so embarrassing.
Voted most overrated player in the NBA by his peers, by players last week, right?
He couldn't wait to tweet out the overrate that tweet, by the way. That was like in the drafts. He tweeted after the win, after he got voted most overrated, he tweeted out, overrate that. And he couldn't even fully celebrate that tweet because the story of the game was his pops getting into a feud with Giannis.
Like, oftentimes we see professional athletes manufacture adversity and manufacture chips on their shoulder. And that one, he's completely given one.
Yeah.
And just added motivation that's validated and everyone understands and agrees with. And yes, like you said, he's got to answer for that. And I know that all of our parents watch this show.
Yeah.
But have we have any stories about maybe people we know, parents, embarrassing their children to that degree? Because I feel like it always happens on the sports fields, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of when you see a parent showing their butt, essentially. Just kind of
hopefully not, but
embarrassing themselves and the kid that they brought to that game. I feel like this is just Tyrese Haliburton all grown up, and as if this is a Little League AAU basketball game. Like, that probably happened back in the day.
It did, and I'm sure it has, and it feels like at the very least I'm glad Haliburton now feels more in control of the situation where he's able to kind of like, just like how Giannis said, that is unacceptable. Unacceptable. Haliburton, Tyrese, I'm talking about, not his pops, is able to tell his pops, yo, that is unacceptable. Cut it out. I'm glad his pops did also issue an apology. In 2025, you have to celebrate and like when people admit they're wrong, it doesn't happen anymore. It absolutely doesn't happen. So for Hallie on the spot to say I'm against what my pops did and for his pops to apologize, I give them credit. I give them respect for that. But it was disrespectful what they did in that moment. And I'm sure there's many stories of people being embarrassed by their parents. In fact, I'm sure the fans of Theoretically Speaking have some stories.
Complete anonymity.